If you see these signs, you're about to reach the highest stage of spiritual awakening, and most people, 99.9%, don't even realize it when it happens. But if you're here, watching this, something inside you already knows. Something is calling you forward. Imagine this. You wake up one day and everything feels different. The world around you looks the same, but something inside you has shifted. You're not sure what it is yet, but things that used to bother you don't seem to have the same grip. The noise of the world feels distant, like an echo of a reality you no longer fully belong to. You walk outside, and for the first time you notice the way the wind moves through the trees, not just as a background to your busy life, but as if it's speaking to you. You feel the space between moments, the silence between thoughts. And in that space something is awakening. This is the beginning of what the ancient mystics, sages, and enlightened masters have spoken about for thousands of years. The final stage of awakening isn't about gaining something, it's about losing everything you thought you were. And that's where most people turn back, because the truth is, this final stage will break you before it frees you. Are you ready? Let's go deeper. Right before you reach the highest stage of spiritual awakening, you will experience a series of undeniable signs. These signs aren't just random events, they are the universe's way of testing you, preparing you to step beyond the illusion of the self. But the biggest mistake people make, they ignore these signs. They dismiss them as coincidences, as phases, and in doing so, they stay trapped in the cycle of suffering, never realizing how close they were to transcending it all. One of the first signs is the dissolution of your identity. Think about it. Up until now, everything you believed about yourself has been shaped by experiences, by society, by the roles you've played. But suddenly those things don't feel real anymore. You begin to notice that the thoughts in your mind aren't truly yours, that the emotions you feel aren't permanent, that the personality you've built is just a collection of habits and conditioning. And this realization is terrifying, because if you are not your thoughts, your emotions, or your personality, then who are you? But here's the secret. This is exactly where you need to be, because the moment you stop clinging to an identity, you become limitless. You are no longer confined by the past or by the expectations of the world. You begin to experience life not from the perspective of the mind, but from the awareness behind it. And that awareness, that's the real you, the eternal, unchanging presence that has been watching your life unfold from the very beginning. But this is where the next test comes in. Right before reaching the highest stage of awakening, the universe will throw everything at you. Old fears will resurface, doubts will creep in. People who once understood you will suddenly seem distant, as if you no longer exist in their reality. And that's because, in a way, you don't. The person they knew is fading, and what's emerging is something they cannot yet understand. Most people turn back here. They cling to the familiar, afraid of what will happen if they fully let go. But if you are truly ready, you will surrender. And in that surrender, you will experience something profound, the collapse of time itself.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Think about this. What is time, really? It's a construct of the mind, a way for the brain to organize experiences. But when you are truly present, fully in the now, time dissolves. You no longer live in the past or anticipate the future. You exist only in this moment, and in that state, everything becomes clear. Every action, every word, every breath feels sacred. You realize that enlightenment isn't a destination, it's the recognition that you were already there all along. But here's the biggest paradox. Right before reaching the highest stage of spiritual awakening, something unexpected happens. Silence. Not just external silence, but an inner silence so deep that it feels like the entire universe has stopped speaking. No visions, no mystical experiences, no grand revelations, just stillness. And this is where most seekers fail, because after a lifetime of searching, of seeking meaning, of chasing enlightenment, they expect some grand finale. They expect fireworks, divine beings, a voice from the heavens telling them they have arrived. But the truth? The highest stage of awakening isn't an experience, it's the absence of all experience. It's the moment where there is nothing left to hold on to, not even the desire to be awakened. And it is here, in this absolute emptiness, that the final transformation occurs. But there's still more. The final test. The one thing that determines whether you will fully enter this state or fall back into illusion. And then something unexpected happens. Just when you think you've reached the peak, when you feel like you've dissolved completely into the vast, infinite awareness, you are pulled back. The world rushes in again, your senses return, you hear the sounds of life, you feel the weight of your body, you remember your name, and for a brief moment you wonder, was it all just a dream? Was that deep silence, that moment of pure awareness, just another trick of the mind? This is the final test, because right before reaching the highest stage of spiritual awakening, the universe will give you one last choice. Will you hold on to what you've just experienced, or will you let it go? Most people fail here. They cling to the awakening itself. They try to recreate the experience, to chase that feeling of emptiness, to prove to themselves that they are enlightened. But the moment they do that, they fall back into the illusion, because awakening is not something you achieve. It's not something you can possess. It's the exact opposite. It's the realization that there is nothing to hold on to in the first place. So here's the paradox. The moment you stop trying to hold on to awakening is the moment you are truly awake. And this is where the greatest illusion is shattered, because your entire life you have believed in a self, a separate you, that is moving through time, making choices, struggling, growing, becoming something. But when you reach the highest stage of awakening, you see the truth. There was never a separate you to begin with. Let that sink in. Everything you have identified with, your thoughts, your emotions, your past, your future, it was all just a dream, a story created by the mind. And now, as you stand on the edge of that realization, the final veil begins to lift. At this stage, something profound begins to happen. You no longer feel like an individual moving through the world. Instead, you feel as if the entire universe is moving through you. The separation between you and existence dissolves. You look at a stranger, and you don't just see them, you are them. You see a tree, and you don't just observe it, you become it. Every moment, every breath, every sound is no longer happening to you, it is happening as you. This is what the ancient texts meant when they spoke of oneness, not as an intellectual idea, but as a direct experience. But here's the part no one talks about. This realization can be terrifying, because if there is no separate self, then who is there to protect? Who is there to control life? Who is there to seek meaning? And this is where most people hesitate, because even though they have seen the truth, they are afraid to fully live it. They are afraid to return to the world without the illusion of self. They wonder, if I let go completely, will I even exist anymore? But here's the secret. You were never really here in the first place, not in the way you thought. And once you see this, something incredible happens. You laugh, because you realize that the entire journey, the struggle, the seeking, the suffering, was just a game, a dream within a dream, and now you are free. Not free in the way the mind imagines, not free in the sense of having control over life, but free in the deepest way possible, because there is no longer a you that needs to be free. And this is where the paradox completes itself, because now, for the first time, you can fully engage with life. You can laugh, cry, love, create, experience every moment with total presence, because there is no longer an attachment to any of it. You are no longer resisting life, you are life. But there's one last thing. Right before reaching this final stage, something strange happens. The world itself begins to feel different, not just in an emotional or mental way, but physically. Colors become more vivid, sounds become richer, time feels slower yet infinitely vast. It's as if reality itself has become more real. And here's the deepest secret. It's not that the world has changed, it's that, for the first time, you are seeing it as it truly is. Without labels, without filters, without the story of me superimposed onto everything. You are not in the universe, you are the universe looking at itself. And when you reach this point, something extraordinary happens. You stop searching, not because you've found all the answers, but because you realize there were never any questions to begin with. And then life continues. But now everything is different, not because the world has changed, but because you have. Or rather, because the illusion of you has dissolved. At this stage, something interesting happens. You begin to function in the world just like before. Walking, talking, working, laughing, but deep inside you know that none of it is personal anymore. There is no longer an internal struggle, no longer a battle between who you are and who you should be. Life simply flows and you flow with it. But here's the part that almost no one talks about. After reaching the highest stage of spiritual awakening, the world will try to pull you back. Not in a dramatic way, not with suffering or pain, but with normalcy. The people around you will continue living as they always have. They will still be caught in their dreams, their fears, their desires, and they will expect you to be the same. They will expect you to react, to have opinions, to chase success, to play the game of life as they do. And this is the final test. Can you live among those who are asleep while knowing you are awake? Because here's the truth, enlightenment does not separate you from the world, it brings you fully into it. You will still experience emotions, but they will pass through you like waves on the ocean, never leaving a trace. You will still face challenges, but they will no longer feel like obstacles, just movements of life, appearing and disappearing. You will still have thoughts, but you will no longer mistake them for reality. And the most beautiful part? You will no longer need anything from life. Not because you have renounced the world, but because you have finally seen that everything you were seeking was an illusion. Love, you are love. Peace, you are peace. Freedom, you were never bound to begin with. But here's the paradox. The moment you no longer need anything from life, life gives you everything. People will be drawn to you not because of what you say, but because of what you are. They will feel something in your presence, something they cannot explain, a deep stillness, an unshakable peace. and some will ask you how to find it, but you will know the truth. There is nothing to find. There is only the realization of what has always been, and so you will live, not as a guru, not as a teacher, not as a seeker, but simply as this, a presence moving through the world, untouched by it, yet fully immersed in it. You will laugh at the absurdity of it all. You will feel the joy of existence in every breath, in every moment, and when suffering arises in others, you will not try to change them, because you will see that they are exactly where they need to be. Because you will remember what it was like to be lost, to search, to struggle, and you will know that awakening is not something that can be forced. It happens when the time is right. And when the time comes for you to leave this world, you will not resist, because you will know you are never really here to begin with, and yet you will always be here, because you are not the body, you are not the mind, you are not the story, you are the space in which all of this appears, and that is the highest stage of spiritual awakening. So now I ask you, are you ready to wake up? Or will you continue dreaming just a little longer? The choice has always been yours.